Today is April 27th, and exactly 5 years ago, the first video was released on the channel. Over these 5 years, hundreds of videos about binoculars have been created. And this is all partly thanks to you, as you sent me your binoculars for video reviews or repairs. Thank you for your support and interest in my content. Over these 5 years, I have shown you various binoculars. You have learned something, seen something new, and likewise, I have learned a lot and discovered many new things for myself. And now I want to show you what I have. Binoculars. For myself, I am not a binocular collector at all. To be a collector, you need to have a lot of money, because rare binoculars are quite expensive. But overall, there are some binoculars that don't have much optical value at present. But I just like them. So I have them, and I have no desire to put them up for sale, sell them, and get rid of them. Binoculars, don't spoil. They can just sit there if they are in normal conditions, meaning a normal open space, not damp but dry. Nothing will happen to the binoculars. Therefore, over the years, they will only increase in value. But this refers to those binoculars that are quite rare and quite old. If, for example, you take here I have, based on the serial number, you need to check what year it was produced, but if it says multi-coated here, it means the binoculars were approximately produced around the late 1970s, and so on. Have a table on how to determine the production years of these Zeiss models at the EMA factory, but that's not the point right now. For example, this binocular at the moment, it has almost no optical value. Well, how can I say it is a good quality binocular? It was one of the best binoculars in its weight category at the time it was produced. Now, a more or less decent Chinese binocular can compete with it, and in some aspects it might be better. Meaning a Chinese binocular might be better than this one. I have it in order to compare it with others of its kind. For example, with BPC-4 or BPC-5, or with any Soviet binoculars, with any Japanese binoculars of those times, and with modern ones, for example, Chinese binoculars, it can also be compared. In some aspects, I like it more, and in others less. So I want to say, don't think that I kept it for myself because it's rare or a collector's item. No, I just have it for the time being. The same can be said about this binocular. 1Q, meaning it has the best optics available at that time. The binocular was released in 1967, and it can also be said that it was the best binocular of those times. It has single layer coating, and at the moment, well, it's a cool binocular. When you look through it, well, the image is quite decent. It has a bit of chromatic aberration, but it's tolerable. Well, believe me, this binocular, it can't compete with modern binoculars. Not at all in any way. In terms of image quality, this previous X30 will be better than the 15X50, although it's hard to compare them because there's much more magnification in the binocular, but I wouldn't say it's super optics at the moment. In those times, I repeat, it was probably made an incredible impression on people who had just bought it. Yes, the next binoculars, here I have some serial numbers. Not serial, but sequential. This is the 409th binoculars that I bought at an eBay auction. Well, overall, I want to say that for these, I didn't say 5 years, because even before the YouTube channel, I was somewhat involved with binoculars, but I didn't make videos. Well, overall these years probably, I don't even know how many binoculars I had the opportunity to hold in my hands and look through. Of course, I didn't repair all of them, but probably 2 or 3,000 binoculars. Well, somewhere around that range. This binocular? Probably. There's nothing special about it. But for some years now, 4 or 5 years ago, that's why I bought it. For some reason, I liked it so much. I think this is a Japanese binocular, although it's not written on it. It does say London here, fully coated. That's full single-layer coating. I believe this binocular was manufactured in Japan. I liked it so much that I still carry it with me all the time in the car. It has very nice colors, man, so pleasant, and the image is quite clear. It's a handy binocular to carry with you in the car. And further, look here. One of my favorite binoculars, although I would like to have the original, because, for example, this binocular, released in 1943 in Canada, video, I don't have it yet, and probably it won't be in such a slightly terrible condition. And this binoculars here is a complete copy. You see, it's called Westinghouse, released in 1942. The Westinghouse company produces, well, generally equipment for power plants, so it's a very powerful company that deals with energy-generating products. But in those times during World War II, there was a significant shortage in America of binoculars, and therefore, I don't know, I have a video about this binoculars, you can watch it below. I will try to provide a link for each binocular so that you can easily find the video about each one if you're interested. And there was a shortage of binoculars. Therefore, the company Bausch & Lomb, which produced, you could say, the original binoculars, meaning they were the same, but here it was written Bausch & Lomb, allowed other companies to produce its copies. So, here is one copy up, here is another copy, and there were a few more. Exactly the same identical binoculars. I don't know about the quality. I didn't get to hold them in my hands. Bausch & Lomb, but I think the glass was probably the same throughout America. In Japan, they could no longer buy it because there was a war with Japan. They probably made the glass themselves, and all the binoculars had the same glass. Maybe something differs, like some cap. That's all. Here's such a tiny binocular. They are also called skeleton binoculars. There is 615. This seems to be a Japanese binocular, but exact copies are now produced in China, available on AliExpress. Well, it's just terrible there. Like, the image quality here is certainly better than those Chinese ones, because here at least the lenses in the eyepieces are definitely made of glass. It's so small, nice, and compact. There's nothing special about it, but let it be. And now, another one of the favorite binoculars. I immediately repeat once more that, of course, in terms of optical characteristics, they fall short in all aspects compared to modern ones. I have this new one with modern ones. These are not the binoculars that were released yesterday somewhere in a semi-basement from plastic, with plastic lenses and so on. No, I mean with modern, more compact binoculars. But I like it. Its shape, its seams, what a shape, its feature, that here you can rest the binoculars against your forehead, and it's much more comfortable to look through them. It's called Aros, Aros 835. The eyepieces move like this, up and down. They actually touch very lightly. They immediately fall. But here, when you rest it against your forehead, the eyepieces don't move. And the image in it, such a pleasant, nice image, and I believe that such binoculars are worth keeping. And I don't recommend, if someone has such binoculars, I don't recommend selling them. Let them be. Another pair of binoculars, Oege, Berlin 630. As far as I know, it was produced during World War II. There is a video about it. It was in a very terrible condition. It was barely possible to unscrew everything and clean it. It's not. Now, it is more or less normal. It shows there are scratches on the optics. They somewhat affect the quality, but I also decided to keep it for myself. English, binoculars, Aros, since 50. Step looks. It was probably released right after the Second World War as a civilian model, with central focusing. There was a video about it quite recently. You can find and watch it if you're interested. For more information about it. Well, for now, I'll keep it with me, because binoculars of this type are not very common at the moment. And there was also a video about this binocular quite recently. You can take a look. It is considered a rarer binocular, so if you're interested, some information about it. Below the video, there will be links to all these binoculars. You can go and watch the full video. I definitely won't sell this binocular. It will stay with me. And over time, I hope to find an original shield for it. These are such glasses, paired as it was, released. And one Soviet binocular. These binoculars are ultra-wide angle. It is considered a rather rare collectible binocular, so I decided to keep it for myself. But in general, if we talk about other Soviet binoculars, as you can see I have, there are no more of them on the table. I generally do not consider that. Any other Soviet binoculars can be considered collectible, rare, or valuable in terms of optics. Of course, they were of good quality for their time, in short, quality binoculars, but at the moment, they cannot compete with modern ones, not at all. This is my personal opinion, as I've seen a large number of binoculars. I had the opportunity to look through them, so do not judge harshly those who really love Soviet optics. I repeat once again, they were quite good for their time, but not for the present. The American binoculars Swift, produced in Japan, Swift, Outbone, 8.5 bis 44. At one time, it was the best binoculars for ornithologists, and it was specifically made for this purpose so that people interested in birds could use it. I think this is a binocular from the 1960s to 1970s. From the 1970s, that's what it is. I don't know if I will keep it for myself or sell it. Just showed you what is holding it for now. A very old French binoculars. Somehow, the binoculars are very old. They were produced approximately from 1900 to the 1920s. When exactly these binoculars were made, I do not know. In terms of image quality, they are no worse than any or others from that era. Binoculars. And in general, French binoculars, well, I have not yet encountered a single French binocular that had good quality. I don't know why that happened, historically, but I consider it to be quite a rare binocular, so I kept it for myself. And now look at these two binoculars. Neither one nor the other is operational at the moment. That is, you can look through this one, but it's dirty. And this one is such that it barely breathes. The binoculars are called Nadre Zambra. However, perhaps I'm providing somewhat inaccurate information right now because I haven't made any videos about them yet and haven't looked up any information about them. This company, Nadre Zambra, is probably not so much a company as a brand or trading house that produced a large variety of products, including binoculars. Besides binoculars, they also produced, as I saw on the internet, various equipment of a seismic nature. So, if you want to watch a video about this binocular, it will be released quite soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, set a reminder, hit the bell, and also don't forget to support the channel by liking the video. Well, now I have 4 cases left. Here, take a look. Carl Zeiss Lact. This binocular was produced from 1908 to 1914. Very old, as you can see, well preserved. The optics inside have been cleaned. And of course it will be in my collection. The next, binoculars. Really very, very old, from 1901 or 1902. Carl, Zeiss, DRL. It seems to say here, fade, techie. 8 times magnification. Objective lens diameter 20. Me. Definitely, there are very, very few of such binoculars at the moment. It is in quite good condition optically. That is, it is dirty, but it can be cleaned. At least it is without cracks, and chips. Externally, it's not very good anymore, but what do you expect from binoculars that are probably around 20 years old? And finally, 2 more binoculars. Before I tell you something about them, I want to say thank you. Hello, my friend. A little present. These 2 binoculars were given to me by my subscriber about 3 years ago. From Portugal. He sent them to me just as a gift. He follows my channel, watches the videos. He probably liked it. If he didn't like it, he wouldn't have sent the binoculars. That's what I think. The first binocular is a Carl Zeiss on telex. It was produced in 1909, and the second binocular as well. This is the Zeiss Turak 10, 8-fold. It was produced in 1915. Once again, thank you to this person. Know that the binoculars are still with me. I haven't sold them or given them to anyone. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave them as an inheritance. And finally, thank you all for following my channel and watching my videos. Take care of yourselves, have a great day, and see you next time.